Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RacialInvestor.com's Broiler Chicken Show. Back, 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 back. Actually, it's kind of funny. When Liam was a baby, we used to play. That's a pretty famous song, and there's a whole bunch of kids' videos. So actually, whenever I do that in my head, I always think of that video. That was a memory from like 20 years ago. Anyway, hey, I have to say right off the bat, it's absolutely incredible when you all wish me good luck with Liam, and I ask you guys to send positive vibes and karma out to him. He's almost always in a good mood. And yet, literally, he's been in like probably past 6, 8 months. He's been 2 times I've gone to visit him and be with him, spend my day with him, and those particular days, I did not ask for your blessings and your best wishes, and he was in a pissy mood. I don't know what it is. So keep on, keep it on. If anything, that's a payment in itself for all of this. Screw money. Money's irrelevant. Actually, it'd be really interesting to see if if someone like Donald Trump was put on a desert island and he had to support somebody like Liam. There's no way out. Can't hire anybody. You got to get in the trenches and do it. And he's, if you understand low functioning autism, you understand these kids that there is no negotiation. How would he do? I remember my old man. He was like Mr. Gnarly. I'm a know-it-all capitalist kind of nonsense. And man, whenever he would see Liam, it's incredible. You could literally see the look in his eyes, just absolute horror, because he'd just be like at a complete loss of what to do. So, ironically enough, you can have all the money in the world, and it doesn't make a damn bit of difference with something like autism. Doesn't mean anything. And ironically enough, I actually, even with Joanne and her mental illness, same thing. And the more money that you have, actually, ironically enough, the worse the situation often gets. So there are a lot of things in this world and in this universe that really have absolutely nothing to do with money. So thank you so much for your awesome karmic wishes. Just sending good vibes out to Liam. Maybe he gets those vibes and it just makes him feel good. And he's like, okay, well, I don't need to be so grumpy today. And woohoo! So thank you very much. We've got our level 1 education program running right now. So the primary purpose of these weekend shows was just to sort of dovetail with that level 1 program. It's a big concept, and while I appreciate that a lot of our instructors are very, very smart, very intelligent people, they just don't have the life experience in the market to speak to a lot of questions that a lot of people would have. Whereas a guy, I've been playing this silly game for 30 years. I think I can speak to things about cycles and stuff like that, if you haven't actually lived and traded and brokered and financial planned and stuff through these cycles, you have no idea what's coming down the pike. And what I do find a bit tragic is my cell phone battery's about to die. No, that's not what I find tragic. What I do find tragic is that, I don't know, let's see if you guys have actually bought into this yet. If you ever hear somebody say, oh, but this time it's different, what does that mean? It's like literally every single cycle top, literally within months of somebody coming out and saying, this time it's different. And usually plays out exactly as it always does in the past. The key here, of course, is we're not trying to, we're not in the business of predicting the future. More, we're in the business of just don't put yourself into really vulnerable, weak positions. Coming in and buying Bitcoin at 60 G's. Now, maybe you don't know, and you need to learn this stuff. But I can tell you, coming in and buying Bitcoin at 60 G's when just a year or two earlier it was $3,000, $4,000. Well, that's putting yourself in a weak position. So, anyway, big part of, like I said, these weekend broadcasts is to dovetail with the level oneers. We have, I'm exceedingly pleased that I have not over the past, been doing this now for like 6, 7, 8 years now. I have not actually blown up my reputation in this small universe, the cryptoverse, Twitter, that kind of stuff. And we have a pretty darn good, I think, basis. And I think we can also, of course, say we demonstrate the principles that we teach. So I think on balance, we have a pretty good reputation that we're not going to steer you wrong. Unfortunately, what that does often mean is that I have to come in and be the guy who goes, maybe we're going to stop at Foggenbaum's. And you get people on social media who go, no. It's like, what? Not even open for debate. Because if I sit there and I actually debate with somebody, and it used to piss me off. I used to have people that I thought were actually very intelligent. And as soon as I sit down and I want to have a serious debate with these people and really argue the facts, the whole conversation just unwinds into some sort of fucking circle jerk, my dick's bigger than yours kind of stuff. I hate that. So anyway, I guess the point I would just make is I don't really see anything new going on here. We're at the end of a and actually, this is the fascinating thing is I don't think we're at the end. Actually, now I think we're at the beginning. So we actually get to, thank you, EK Zadik. I appreciate it. We're actually at the point now, because keep in mind, the entire time that I've been with you, people in this crypto experience, we've been living in the shadow of the baby boomers. And I think that what you're going through right now, of course, the 1% have sort of muddied the waters with their stupid Great Reset conversation nonsense. And then, don't let a good crisis go to waste. So, the media messaging here has been, ironically enough, has nothing to do with the underlying structure of our economy and everything to do with just a basic sickness that, we got to deal with. I do find it a bit tragic, that nobody seems to be talking about the amount of people that are dying from cancer. And yet those numbers are staggering. How many people are dying in car accidents? Those numbers are really, really bad. So, pick your poison. I definitely think that this quote unquote crisis was definitely used to advantage. They basically got the U.S. taxpayers to agree, which is not really a correct way to even think about it. I would say the 1%, the people that are running this whole damn fugazi, have got the U.S. taxpayer, quote unquote, but really U.S. sort of landed citizen, to pretty much guarantee more debt. And of course, we know, thanks to guys like Ray Dalio, that the whole system is just based on debt. So the more debt that's guaranteed, revenue from the debt guaranteed by tax revenues, which of course can be enforced at the end of a barrel of a gun, we can continue this game. It was a bit sad. I heard recently that the banks reported just absolutely staggering profits. some of the big US money center banks, like in the tens of billions of dollars. I think one of them had like $40 billion of profits. How do you even wrap your head around a number like that? It's just so insanely big. So, where does that money come from? That money comes from basically Joe Sixpack. And more importantly, the whole idea of this inflation game, that sort of premium that has to be paid on debt. I like to call it the banker's tax. I think on balance, it's pretty accurate. The only problem with our society now is like, 100 years ago, a country's government could potentially stand up to the banksters and say, no, 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 enough is enough. No more of that here. And that was the case, of course, in the United States of America. And then one of their early presidents, he actually went to the wall and he fought with the banksters to try and get them out of their controlling position. And if anything, that made the United States of America extremely wealthy as a nation. One might even argue the reason why the United States became the world superpower was because they had about a century there of sort of unmolested economic prosperity. And then 1913 came along and that dream ended. It's a bit sad. So, ironically enough, it's actually interesting how the superpowers at the end of the well, yeah, so I don't think you can use that analogy. Anyway, so we are making this transition into this next sort of a generational cycle. I do think that because of the amount of debt overhanging the market, that these growth cycles are becoming more and more muted. So it's going to be tough. Like on the broader market, I wouldn't even be surprised if this growth cycle actually doesn't even see much growth. And now these governments are realizing they've kind of hit the wall in their stupidity spending. My local dear leader, just an absolute buffoon, has completely blown up my country's books to the point where just the damage that he has done in the past few years. If we actually really wanted to try and correct the problem, which I think is actually even beyond correcting now, it would take generations to correct this. It's that bad. What someone can do in such a short period of time, the amount of, sort of physical damage they can do to the books, it's really sad. Wow, there was a statement. What was that? By that, did you mean that surplus from grow being used to deliverage? Holy moly. I don't think I quite understand is that a statement or a question? You're going to have to articulate that a little bit better. And use simple words, simple words, please. I'm a simple guy. Hi, Brian. Would love to hear you talk about the TED spread. Actually, well, it's so sad. Just the fact that we can't use the TED spread in itself is actually a perfect analogy of our 21st century bank-run society. So now we have to call it, I guess, the Fed spread, because the cartel of banksters actually are the last lender of last resort. The U.S. government, I think, is technically bankrupt. And I would argue all of these Western nations are technically bankrupt. And we're all just kidding ourselves with this sort of, oh, no, the emperor still got clothes on. No, the emperor still got clothes on. And interestingly enough, once they sort of wash out this recent sort of euphoria cycle, I don't see any reason, probably after this coming U.S. election, I don't see any reason why the whole damn system can't reset itself and we get ready for another massive wave price inflation. But also, too, with that price inflation comes a lot of growth. Like magic internet money stories will start coming back mysteriously. I mean, is there not a perfect analogy for the 21st century nonsense world where there is actually something called magic internet money? And at one point it was like, this is wonderful. And now this is a fucking nightmare. I mean, what a perfect analogy. Absolutely perfect. This actually reminds me a lot of the banking system before Old Hickory got rid of the central bankers out of the US. In the US at one point, they had something like, I think there was something about 2 or 3,000 different money issuing institutions, where you had Bank XYZ from Missouri and Bank ABC from Massachusetts, and they would all be issuing their own quote unquote money in the form of notes. Right. So, I mean, is that not the same as cryptocurrencies? It seems exactly the same. They say the more things change, the more they stay exactly the same. Oh, anyway. All right. So there's a bit of philosophical blah to start your day. What I would say, though, and I think it's important for everybody to realize, and actually, I couldn't believe it. I actually heard there's some guy, I could not believe this. I've never in like 30 fucking years working in the financial services industry, I have never, ever heard of someone making reference to the fear and greed cycle. And they always say, how does it go? Plagiarism is the ultimate compliment, something like that. And lo and behold, here we have people on YouTube now teaching fear and greed cycles. And look at this. Look at the pretty chart he's put together. And look at that 17 and a half year generation. So if you don't believe Beamish, believe this guy. This guy's obviously the expert. This is where I learned everything. This is great. So I could actually officially die now. My thesis, and I even said this sort of, I sort of, half subconsciously believe this, of course, but my message got through to you people. JoJo's life was not in vain. We made an impact on the world. Somebody actually believes me. This is great. So I thought it was hilarious. And people in the lounge are posting, hey, this guy's not, what is he doing? He's totally hacking your. Wow. It's not me. I do find it interesting that he has labeled the fear and greed cycle. I've never seen anybody at all ever use those references. So clearly he's listening to me. But just understand this, folks. It's super important that you understand this. There have been people that have been following these ratios forever. This is not something new. It's not something that I've created. This is this same sort of Dow gold ratio. And actually, there was this is what I used to teach, actually. And I used to use this image back in the 90s. And you can literally see the shift back and forth between the desire to own hard assets and the desire to own soft assets. It just goes back and forth, back and forth. This is critical that all of you level oneers get this coming out of this program. It's the cornerstone of everything that I do in the marketplace. But to add to this, you need to understand, and this is where most people fail at this game, is most humans, the easiest way to think is that we move in a straight line. And of course, this is why doctors and shit always do terribly at trading, is that the market, ironically enough, is not a textbook kind of thing. It's general concepts. And, Adam Smith, the market can remain illogical because too many people believe in one thing. This time it's different, kind of bullshit. And it just takes a while for the market to finally run out of buyers or sellers and then start going back its natural way. So the point being that you have to look at this image like you're looking at the forest, not you're looking at the trees. You're just seeing the big picture. Where are we in that big picture? I thought it was adorable that, there's Graham teaching a level 1 class. I thought it was adorable that these guys, they seem to have picked up on this. But what usually ends up happening here is people, they get sucked into this one directional thinking, but the market doesn't work that way. The market actually, and it's a total pain in the butt. I was trying to show the level 1ers, and it's in fact, actually, I was even tweeting it out. So that's probably the better place to show you. And capital and capital flows really look like this. And what this is this is really a commentary on cycles. And, like, can you see all the different cycles all simultaneously at work? This happens to have 3 different cycles plotted. But in reality, and I don't even know if I even have half of the cycles, but in reality, actually, there's a ton of these cycles all working at the exact same time. They're all doing their thing, and here's the demographic cycle. That's what this gentleman seems to have tapped into. So way to go, dude, whoever you are. There is that 35-year demographic cycle, and it's just sort of like, people, typical life generation. I actually, on his YouTube page, I thought it was kind of funny just to poke at him because I'm having fun. But on his YouTube page here, that's weird. Here, I actually went down and I said, you can actually see this a lot better if you look at it from, oh, look at that. Oh, son of a gun. He deleted my comment. Isn't that interesting? Disc, not good karma to delete comment from guy who came up with fear, greed, concept. Let's see how long that lasts. I'm gonna have to give that one a thumb down, buddy. Tisk. Anyway, so I did comment on his tweet, but obviously he didn't like it, or on his YouTube video. That really what he should do to really understand this is pull up this chart. Because this chart, actually, you can clearly see the generational differences. So that's fascinating. This is that same fear, greed cycle. This is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And you actually see, it's quite shocking how you have periods of growth, then periods of contraction, then periods of growth, then periods of contraction. And guess what? Here we are in a period of growth. The interesting thing about this, of course, is that we live in a world of government deficits, these politically, democratically elected governments, blah, 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 blah. And interestingly enough, what caused this break here was actually at this time, the democratically elected politicians said, no, we are not going to give in to the, print money and all that kind of stuff. And the banksters said, excuse me, we took over the system right here. We bid everything up so that the public would get euphorically long. And now we have broken them. And unless you play ball, Mr. Politician, we are going to run you out of office. And that's exactly what happened here in 1932, where basically the guy who said, we're not going to play ball with you banksters. You can play your games if you want. If you invest in the stock market and you lose money, well, it's your own damn fault. The banksters said, hey, we're tightening credit. And unless you play ball, i.e., that whole remove the debt from the previous cycle, hit the reset button, we're not going to support you. And sure enough, Mr. Hoover got run out of office basically on a rail. Mr. Roosevelt came in, said, Mr. Banksters, we understand that you run the world. I wouldn't even be surprised. Keep in mind, Roosevelt's family were technically criminals. I mean, this is the funniest part about American history, that Americans do not, and keep in mind, Canadians, they're no better, but a lot of Americans do not want to admit, the Kennedy family, well, they actually made their fortune running rum through Prohibition. The Roosevelt family, well, they made their money in the Opium Wars and opening up Japan the previous century. So they're all crooks. I mean, you've all told me how do you tell when a politician's lying to you? And somebody answer on YouTube, 34%, right? Isn't that how the answer goes? So anyway, the question I have here now, and actually I like this because keep in mind, this cycle, and don't listen to Brian, listen to this other guy because obviously he's the authority, wherever our buddy is. This guy. Interestingly enough, and actually he's got it fairly well painted here. We should actually see paper assets dramatically outperform hard assets here going forward. The issue here, of course, is that it's ebb and flow. And remember, there's a whole bunch of these cycles all sort of intermingled, right? There's a whole bunch of these going on. I definitely think 35-year cycle, we're probably going to see, over the next 10, 15 years, we're going to see softer commodity prices. It makes sense. Commodities are pretty damn expensive. So commodities get bid up. Companies that use the commodities, of course, you hear from the leader of the U.S. gut banking cartel. I've heard him say repeatedly that the U.S. economy is extremely strong, and it should be at this part of the cycle. That's just the way it goes. And unfortunately, a lot of people they're just not buying it. They're not believing it. So, I thought it was interesting. Keep in mind, there's a bunch of different cycles going on here. There's the economic cycle, which ironically enough, I think the economic cycle, like I said, they were able to bypass the system here with the sickness. But basically, the sickness has done the same thing as if somebody went off and started a war. Oh, gee whiz, they're actually talking about doing a war as well. Oh, boy, it could be. Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, keep in mind how long, these damn interest rate cycles, they're the evil ones, right? Because this 70, 80-year cycle is really all about the cycle of money. And the problem here is, somebody just affirmed this, maybe over on YouTube. How many of these cycles are all coming to an apex here, all within this 2 or 3 year window? Right? 2020 to 2023 or 2030 or whatever the hell it's supposed to be. There's a ton of them. There's like 6 of them, I think, that are all coming to a head here all around this time. So a good example, of course, we know the demographics, well, if you don't, learn it. But anybody who's at TRI and does the education program, you level oneers, you're learning about the demographics. And actually, it was really cool. I think we had one of the level oneers was like, oh my God, this is such a eureka moment for me. I finally get it now, which is awesome. I love when that happens. But we also have like Ray Dalio's money cycle also coming to a head. So we got these two demographics. Then we have, isn't there some like, I think there's like a sickness cycle that's like 80 years in duration or something. That's coming to a head. I mean, it's incredible how many cycles we're all having coming to a head all at once. And so, to give you an illustration, right? A lot of people are like, well, so you're saying that the commodities should be weak because the demographic cycle is rolled over and it favoring paper assets now, not commodities. But I see commodities are really strong right now. So what the fuck, Brian? I think your thesis is full of horseshit. Well, it sort of works that way, but understand that, if we look at something like the business cycle way down here, which is heavily, heavily influenced by things like short-term interest rates. If we look at the market from that perspective, right, we can just pull up and I was showing this on actually, I don't know whether I might have tweeted it out, part of this. Did I? No. Well, anyway, I posted it in the lounge, I guess. Yeah. If you look at the this one here, there. If you look at the economy and where money is flowing in the economy right now, I mean, you tell me. It should be pretty easy answer. Don't overthink this. Where is money flowing in the economy right now? And this is basically from January 1st to 2022 to now. Where is the money flowing? I mean, don't fight me on this. It's pretty easy. Anyone? And don't go and fucking type 34% on YouTube. So come on, people. It's nice and easy. I'll even put my mouse. You can even take green box if you want. What does that word? Now, be more specific here, Francis. Remember, we're talking cycles here. I'm trying to teach you guys cycles. Yeah, energy. Now, understood. Yeah, this would make Greta. This would drive her into her next period, probably. Can you? I think you can have like psychosis-induced PMS, can't you? I think so. She's old enough now, right? She's fair game. We can talk about her menstrual cycle. So that's something we as men need to. If you ladies want to be on a par level, you want to get rid of glass ceiling, all that kind of stuff. We have to be able to talk about your menstrual cycles and how it affects your behavioral patterns. Now, yeah, Chris, yeah, good luck. Who's been married here? I'll raise my hand. How does that go? Does that go over well, talking about menstrual cycles with the fairer sex? I was married into a redhead here, eh? So playing a very dangerous game here. So anyway, that's the one thing that used to always piss me off is, hey, if we're all equal here, then I get to complain about your menstrual cycle and your attitude shift. No, not allowed to touch that. Anyway, Brian getting himself into trouble. Okay, so we can clearly see who's driving the bus here. What I need for you to connect the dots with here is this the end or the beginning of one of these massive generational cycles? Is that's what's going on here? Or is this more about maybe the economic cycle? And if we scroll down, oh, gee whiz. What outperforms if you see, and actually the better way to say this, 33%, right? What outperforms at the market top at full recovery in the economy? Energy. So is this more a commentary about demographic cycles, or is this more a commentary about the economic cycle? And this is very, very, really, I would even say a business cycle as well, because This usually operates more on like this 4-year pattern. So, if we thought about this as like this big honking line is our demographic cycle, right? And like this is like 17 and a half years from the very bottom of like the greed cycle. So this is where commodity price is really weak. But well, I want to do this so you can understand this. So we'll say that this is the bottom of the greed cycle, top of the fear cycle. So paper asset demand is very weak. Hard asset demand is very strong. And we're starting our sort of 17 and a half year climb to the point where paper assets become very, very expensive relative to commodity assets. And that's probably the key that a lot of people don't get. I'm not saying that gold's going to go back to $50 an ounce. I'm not saying that at all. And in fact, because we know, and actually this hopefully this gentleman who did this video also told you this, but where the hell do I have that? Here, this gentleman. I hope he understands that actually, and I told him he should be looking at this in a sine wave. This is actually a logarithmic rising chart. So you'll notice if we look at it, where's that one that I was just had on here? It's the best one to show you. This one here. You notice this is in a channel here. Now, what do you think this channel represents? And this actually be a really, really good question. What do you think this channel, notice it's upward sloping. What does this channel represent? Come on. Yeah. I might argue that actually this channel represents the inflation of money. That even as we go by through time, that the paper assets are getting more and more and more valuable, but also too the relationship of when prices do come down, it's getting higher and higher and higher. Remember 1980 we hit like 1.0. That was actually the absolute peak of the socialist movement. I guess you could say natural growth, but I like the idea that this is sort of like gold's never going back to like $50 an ounce. I'm sorry, it just isn't. We're rising over time. So this relationship gets more and more and more and more expensive. So anyway, I don't know whether I conveyed that thought clearly or not. What I would say here, we live actually in a really odd time period because they've completely sort of bastardized the definition of money. And of course, this is half of the reason why you people are in Bitcoin. If the public understood how badly the definition of money has been sort of twisted here and distorted, they would actually, I mean, this is actually, if we were going to call apples to apples, this is where I think we are in that cycle. So again, I like the idea that if you were going to say, where are we now generational cycle wise? I think we're in sort of like what is that? Maybe like 1945 kind of idea. So, I think I even like a little bit further back. Like, I really like the analogy of 1942. I like the analogy of 1982. I like actually there should be we should do it. This should be actually a fun assignment for the site is we should try and figure out, like the Jupiter Saturn cross, for example, is once every 20 years. So there's another sort of one of these big cycle kind of things, which I think is very closely to that demographic cycle. But it would be interesting to see if we go back like I like the idea if we think back like 80 years, sort of, somewhere between that 70 and 80 years. 70 years is their 35-year generational cycle, is the interest rate cycle. So I think the two of them sort of do a dance together. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is this is sort of the apex of what greed looks like. Stock market going straight up. This is the ultimate expression of fear, basically money coming out of the economy. This was our current cycle, but of course they masked all of this over here with the whole money printing. And in reality, the crazy thing is if you look at our economy now, if you get rid of the money printing effect, actually, the market looks like that. So is this real? I don't think so. I think this is kind of a facade. I think this is our reality. And I think it also makes sense too. I think the standard of living, but Joe Sixpacks, it's tough. It's very, very tough. Yeah, Saturn. Isn't Saturn like the evil one? So Carlos says here, also, when looking at the various cycles, Saturnal, demographic, etc., are they weighted in a similar way? You would weight a weekly signal versus a daily signal. Does the longer cycle take precedence? Well, what I would say is think forest through the trees. I wouldn't try and time these generational cycle shifts. I think you're wasting your time. It's too difficult. If anything, if we want to time these, what we actually really had to do, and it was damn difficult, was, and this is kind of like what Larry Williams, actually, somebody was sharing on the site. I think it was yesterday. Somebody was sharing a really cool video by Larry Williams from back before the cycle break. And I always like to, you really want to judge whether somebody's worth listening to is go listen to their videos a few years ago. Don't go and listen to what the hell they're saying today. But go, like when we were in a last bear market, go listen to how they talked then. And one thing, and keep in mind, Larry Williams, I mean, fuck, he's like one of, I love that. This is one of my favorite videos, of course, posted by Shark Toshi. Thank you, Shark Toshi. Try and think outside the box. All you level oneers, right? You have to start teaching yourself how to think outside the box. But anyway, where is that chart? I think it was a video that somebody posted yesterday. Super cool. Darn, I can't find it. Damn it. Anyway, now I lost my train of thought. Oh well. So Larry Williams video, that's what I was talking about. I don't know whether I tweeted. I thought somebody posted on the lounge, but it might have been in one of the classrooms. But anyway, it was a video from Larry from like a few years ago. And it was super, super cool because he was kind of saying, and probably the better one is to look at this one. He was saying that, and actually, this is a really good lesson for you guys. So I don't know. You ready to learn something here today? I could try and teach you this. I don't know. What do you think? Should we? Should we throw in a little bit of learning here today? All right, try and teach you something. Oh, somebody says, yes, please. Would you like more tomato? Yes, please. What show is that from? All right. Here we go. INDU. And actually, this is pertinent for the level 3ers because level 3ers are actually doing this right now. So we'll go down. I think it's, or maybe it's DJI. So, according to Larry, and of course, I've seen this repeatedly over the years, so I don't have a question of this. But what you want to think about here is what is a typical behavioral pattern of Joe Sixpack? And if you can understand that the typical behavioral pattern of Joe Sixpack is to panic. Oh, you're close, Marius. The hint is science fair project. That's my hint for you, Marius. But you're close. You're close. All right, so here's your lesson. So, does it make sense that when humans panic, both on the buy side and the sell side, they don't even really care. They just want, I want out, or I want in. What do we call it when they panic on the buy side and they want in? Everybody should know what that name is. FOMO. Very good. We won't talk about FOMO today. What we'll talk about, though, is the other way around. So does it make sense that when the humans are getting worried, yeah, that's good. That's Jason. That's it. It's a good. You're heading in the Richard. You're heading in the right track. But I gave you the hint. The hint is science fair project. No, it's not South Park. It was Simpsons. Anyway, when humans panic, they don't care what price they have. So, does it not make sense that if you have a tool that shows you that the trading range is expanding, and if you see price falling and the rate of change is expanding, that's a really good anecdotal piece of evidence that the public is panicking and dumping. And maybe we, as smart investors, we should maybe be thinking about doing the exact opposite. So, with that said, this is a tool. It's called ATR. I'm not quite sure what RMA is here. I think it's some different type of moving average that they base this on. Never have been able to figure that out. But anyway, generally speaking, ATR stands for average true range. And all this does is it just shows you what is the typical range of the trading. And does it not make sense? In boring good times, the volatility of the market's pretty low. But in bad times, that's when people go, oh my God, get me out at anything. I don't care. Just get me out. So you can use a tool like ATR that when you start seeing the market break, you can pretty much start thinking, all right, I got to start getting ready to buy when you see the average true range start to go parabolic. Does that not make sense? So you can see here, if you see the ATRW like that, that's actually like a buy signal for us smarty pants guys. Right here we go, uh-oh. Something's about to happen here. And then you can look at the price chart and go, all right, so there's the breakout. What's price doing? Oh boy, looks like price is getting ready. It interestingly enough, you can see ATR started to expand as we were going parabolic up. Then we go and put in an M top, and the ATR continues to work higher. And then notice this part of the curve. Notice how we literally, through here, the ATR is going straight up. That, my friends, is an excellent tell that, hey, they're panicking here. Well, can you just Google the word parabolic? What does parabolic mean? It usually means, right, a parabolic curve. In fact, I think, here's Trading View, right? What does a parabolic curve look like? Actually, I would go like that, and then like that, something like that, where it goes straight up. And if you can see a situation where it's like literally going straight up like this, this isn't parabolic. That is definitely parabolic. So doesn't necessarily tell you that, okay, this is the moment to buy. But, you know, a lot of old timers, they don't really want to try and pick the bottom or top. That's too difficult. What you really want to try and see, and I don't know whether you can see this or not, but let's see if you can. What kind of chart pattern? You level oneers, you'll learn this. Actually, I guess the level oneers, are they still in class? But what kind of chart pattern does this look like down here? I even seem to remember there were TRI people that even pointed out this inverted head and shoulders. It's pretty straightforward. But the point here is this is a really good example where, you know, us as good technicians, we're going to be doing things like hunting. And actually, this is a really good example because we could have gone, well, actually, maybe not, something like that. So there's key support. So we dip down into it. We've got the public absolutely panicking, freaking out. I don't think trade location, this isn't a terrible place to be thinking. And of course, this was financial asset crisis. We actually had a beautiful moving average sell signal there. This was the end of George Bush Jr.'s tenure and a change of politics. And I might just argue that, you know, you had your warning, and this is what I wanted to teach you. If you see a declining market, lower highs and lower lows, and you're looking for that event that tells you that, hey, we're getting close to the public panicking, just look at this ATR, and if you see the ATR basically going parabolic, that's your sign that, hey, you know, we're probably getting near some sort of capitulation bottom. And it's not like something that's set in stone, because you can see the buy signal, I would say, didn't come till way over here. But this should be a warning that, hey, you know what? Don't get sucked into the selling euphoria. You're coming late to the party. If you really wanted to sell, we all know, of course, there's the M top way up there. And then that's also a head and shoulders top. So then there's a fail there. And that's probably a reload zone tag right there. You want to short, there's lots and lots of reasons to short up here. But don't come in down here thinking to sell. This is almost like Willie being stupid. It's the same logic. So anyway, that was something out of a Larry Williams video that I saw over the weekend that resonated with me. It's a perfectly good tool and strategy to sort of help you understand, you know, when you're in a rising market and you see ATR going parabolic, you're probably best just to leave it alone. But if you see a rising ATR in a crashing market, this is telling you, hey, get ready. So I thought it was interesting because Larry did point this out. He actually did his video, like literally right here. So, based on our thesis of what I just went rambling on about there, what do you think? Should we, looking at that image, after what I just said there, should we be thinking that the market is going to try and bottom, or should we be thinking that, you know what, that's probably a sell there? I mean, that's the whole point of this ramble here. So I hope you all enjoyed this and maybe somebody learned something here. Anyone? Bueller? Does that make sense? Anyone? Am I just talking to myself here? Is this thing on? Hello? Come in, Tokyo? Oh, it is on? All right. Well, Francis? Is that how I pronounce your name? Francis? Francois? Does that make sense, what I just said there? Now, that's not necessarily a buy signal, but if anything, you should have been looking at, look at this spike up here, straight up, straight down. Then as soon as it starts rolling over, okay, well, we probably got something to work with. Same thing here, straight up, straight down. Notice it M'd out. All right, maybe we got something to work with here. Is this the only reason you're going to use to take a trade? No, but is this one reason? Like I like that Willie indicator and stupidly overbought and stupidly oversold. This is another fantastic indicator that you can use to try and help you see the opposite side of the market. And I mean, proof of the pudding's in the eating. Was that a half decent idea to think about longing? How about when this thing emmed out and actually range is contracting? Would that have been a good idea to be thinking about nibbling down in here when everybody was panic selling? I think so. So ATR is nice and low now. ATR is actually Wing out now. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That can't be a good sign, can it? And the sad part about it is what's Mr. Williams told you what to expect here in 2022. Hey, Andre likes my tool, and I'm wearing my pants. How do you even know what my tool looks like? And Andre goes, "Hey, nice tool." Just kidding. Arr. All right. Anyway, so there's your tutorial for the day. Whoever's doing the write-up here, say, Brian wasted 10-15 minutes talking about ATR today and how you can use it to try and identify whether we're in a panic selling market and maybe you should be thinking about buying, or whether we're in a lethargic market and everybody's nice and complacent and happy-go-lucky, and maybe you ought to cool your jets. It's probably a really good analogy there. What I was supposed to do through these weekend videos, of course, I totally butchered that. Sorry, Chris, but what the hell. First off, I've actually put together, and I've asked Sjord to do this because I think it's a good idea, and he kind of liked the idea. I created a news sort of template here. And I've tried to include all of the different spectrums from left-leaning, bleeding hearts to right-leaning neo-Nazis. I tried to put everybody in here. So hopefully, you look through this and you don't go, "Oh my God, that's so biased." I mean, I've got the socialists and I've got the Nazis. So have fun. And everybody's like, Brian, I'm a Rupert Murdoch supporter. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm not a Nazi. Fuck you. Anyway. So all I'm saying is I put together this page. I think it's a nice, simple overview, and all I really so that's Jordan's even like, "Oh, is that new available for everybody?" What I asked Stuart to do was just sort of like I did with the overview page, is just create like this as a template. Notice that this isn't editable. It's very static. It's very simple. It's it's clean and nothing will change here. And I asked Sjord whether he could do that too. And he was receptive, and it shouldn't be very difficult to put together. I happen to have on a couple BBC news sources, a couple Canadian news sources. Here in Canada, this is the right wing people, this is the left wing people, and it's remarkable to watch them go back and forth. So it even this politics shit in the news, it's consistent right across the globe, people. And then we have our blog down at the bottom. And of course, now that we're approaching the end of January, we actually should do an update on this January barometer. Also, too, Josh, I suggested to him that we could do the decennial report from Mr. Williams there. I think that would be a good blog post. I think there was a couple other blog posts actually that I had in thinking about as well. So we got lots of stuff to talk about in the blog going forward. But I do like this as just sort of, okay, what the hell's going on in the world? So Buffett's investing strategy is seen as outdated. Interesting. Kind of irrelevant, especially if it comes from CNN. That's kind of stupid. The investors aren't panicking. They're all the bleeding hearts. Of course, who usually makes money in this game? Do the bleeding hearts make money in this game? Or do the ruthless Mr. Potters of this world make money from investing? I mean, come on. Let's call a spade a spade. Pandemic stocks winners are in trouble. Yeah, that could be because, frankly speaking, actually, economics are actually coming back into the picture. Imagine that. And of course, they want you to get online, do lots of funding of that digital economy. That doesn't surprise me. So just a bunch of fluff out of these clowns. NPR, I kind of like them as kind of an unbiased source. I don't know. A lot of people say they're pretty left leaning, but let's see. Huge blizzard back east, so that's definitely going to affect people's sentiment tomorrow morning. Chris was telling me he's got 6 inches of snow. That's that is the number one reason why I live here in BC is no snow. So there you go. Francois was saying NPR is pretty bleeding heart. Howard Hesseman, who played Johnny Fever. Oh, he died? Oh, Jesus. Man, all of the characters from my childhood are all going. Oh, yeah, Johnny Fever. Man, he was a great character. Obviously, rhetoric out of the U.S. government. Don't invade Ukraine or there'll be lots of sort of reprisals. Rafael Nadal wins Australian Open. Why? Because Djokovic wasn't allowed to be there. From Washington to Trump to Biden, new president meets unwanted foreign crisis. From Washington to Trump to Biden. So, yeah, okay, not a big surprise. Little bit more right-leaning. These guys are pretty shilly, though. A lot of clickbait. Citrix Systems said to be close to $13 billion deal with Vista and Elliott to go private. Interesting. Doesn't surprise me that actually you do hear about companies going private now because this is the growth cycle. This is when these companies are actually most valuable, believe it or not. My company may IPO and make me a millionaire. My boyfriend and I have these guys are always going on poking at sort of my husband this, my wife that. How do I get their money? Constantly. It's one thing I really don't like about this site. So biostocks stocks had a challenging year, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily on sale. Interesting. J&J exec. I think we saw like biotech funds. Not really happy. And then, of course, my little CLAS basically sitting right at the bottom end of his range. If anything, if you've got money to invest, now's the time to actually take a serious look at those kind of names because they've probably been beaten up quite a bit. We'd probably have to wait for the Fed to actually start raising interest rates for them to sort of, remember I showed you that economic cycle. At this point, the Fed's got to raise interest rates. And, you see, there is where healthcare is. So if we are right here on the economic cycle, it makes sense that they'd be talking down healthcare. And as we move through, your clue that we'll be leaving this part of the economic cycle is as soon as the Fed starts raising interest rates. As soon as they start raising rates, and it's probably one of those 3 steps in a stumble kind of things, this probably goes on all the way through 2022. And then I've said this repeatedly. I think the market breaks next fall. So the fall of 2022 is when I really expect like crypto to shit the bed. Ironically enough, from here, you might actually find that things like crypto actually go sideways or even into a bull. Imagine that. Like on the altcoins and stuff. I could easily send them to really well here. Doesn't surprise me hearing those kind of comments out of Johnny and Johnny, but at the same time too, remember, this is the only business when stuff goes on sale nobody wants to buy. And if you're a value investor, quite often you're buying into value, you're sitting there waiting, then the market pops and you get paid. So not a big surprise. All right. So another comment about this Elliott and Vista deal. So we might hear lots of news about companies going private. Interesting. Aluminum prices can't keep up with energy costs. So I don't know whether you're aware, but actually making, I don't know whether making is the right word, but pulling the metal out of the raw ore is actually extremely expensive. Refining, there you go. It's very expensive, and especially like aluminum, right? They use those arc machines. Oh my God, they use a ton of energy. So, what does that mean about metal prices? Maybe metal prices are a little bit undervalued. I think you heard that something about that Musk guy went and bought like $500 million worth of silver recently. Major investors hold ground on Russian debt. So this is interesting. If the market really believed that Russia was in trouble, they would be dumping the ruble, they'd be dumping their debt like crazy. So if you really want to follow what's happening with that Russian situation, probably watch that debt situation. And also too, I mean, it just doesn't make sense for Russia to go and start a war there. It just makes no sense whatsoever. I really don't think. I think honestly, and this is just my opinion, but I honestly think Putin's just playing chess here, and he's just moving his pieces around the board. It does not make sense for him to go and start a war there. Everything is stacked against him. The only reason why it would make sense is if he's really under the gun and he can smell the hounds of insurgency on his heels. But I don't hear any of that kind of talk. Probably a return of interest rates back to the mean will mean a lot of these sort of, like GME and there's a few of them, right? I mean, that GameStop was hilarious, but the theater company, a lot of these kind of companies, I can't see them surviving, to be honest with you. I don't see anything coming back with regard to shopping malls. They're still kind of, I don't know what it's like down in the States, but here locally, it's kind of a pariah. So I don't know. It makes sense to me that the market would be sort of coming back. Believe it or not, I think I heard someone say that Deutsche Bank actually is raising their dividend again because the profits are so good. So there's a great example where Deutsche Bank basically for the past 20 years has been a social pariah. And I actually think that the bank stocks could do quite well here going forward, which sucks. I talked to you about these damn Canadian banks and the fucking oligarchs, but I think they've pulled it off, the bastards. I do not like the idea of Canadian real estate and sort of like commodity proxy countries. You should stay the hell away from them for like the next probably 15 years. I know it's a hard pill to swallow, but that's basically my mantra. Or if you are going to buy assets in the commodity countries, try and buy the companies that are going to do well in a rising export environment. So I don't mind, like, for example, the dot-com boom, a company like Nortel Networks, that was a networking company. And ironically enough, it actually generated most of its revenues, whatever revenues they did generate. They generated those revenues from overseas. They bought a company called Bay Networks. And of course, they had all their contracts in US dollars. So I love that idea. But something that's domestic here in Canada, or Australia, or Russia, or South Africa, or any other sort of deemed commodity country in the world, I strongly suggest you stay the hell away from it. Kathy Wood's ARC faces a loyalty test after tech rout. So this, what's happening with Kathy here is exactly the same that's happening with Danny. It's identical. I would make the argument that Kathy Wood's investment strategy is actually almost exactly like Danny. This is next generation. This is disruptive technology. This is, sadly, it's a little bit of sort of unicorn kind of investing. And every style has its day in the sun. So if you have like a Fed that's just throwing money at the markets, they're desperate for any kind of growth. Somebody grow, anybody grow. Well, that's where sort of crypto does very, very well. That's where people like Kathy Woods and her flying tricycles do very, very well. But unfortunately, in a rising interest rate environment, a rising cost environment, with companies that have no revenue, um, questionable track records, maybe they just haven't been around long enough for people to believe in them yet. Like institutional players that actually like invest, you know. But so, like a lot of Kathy's stocks, and I follow a few of Kathy's. I even bought one of hers because I really like it. The nano dimension guys, like building nanobots. I like that story, and I actually did go and buy some stock. But, in a weird sort of way, actually, I'm getting ready to buy more. So, just like, where is that? Down here. See, here's poor old Kathy. Kathy's just getting slaughtered. And I thought, it'd be kind of fun. Why don't we just trade circles around Kathy and all her minions? Because everything that we teach at TRI is in this image. So here you can see the headline is, "Oh my God, somebody assassinate Kathy Wood. She sucks horsecocks." But the reality is, well, this is a bearish. In fact, we probably go boobity. Don't want to do that. There you go. There to there, and then clone that, and go there to there. I mean, the irony of this, guys, is this is business as usual. Is there anything actually new going on here? No, there isn't. This is very typical. You can see moving average crosses give you a nice bearish trend. I'm not surprised. What's funny is that Tyler guy, right? Because a lot of these people, and like Kathy Woods and stuff like that, I don't know. I think Kathy does, but a lot of people in investing, they hate looking at price charts, and price charts give them sick. I used to tell, I think I've told you guys, I used to show Joanne like price charts and numbers and stuff, and she'd go, "Oh, put that shit away. I can't. Don't even want to look at it." She tried so hard to placate me. I mean, she really did. Bless her soul. But man, it was painful for her to look at an image like that. So, like Tyler, I saw somebody was sharing in the lounge a video by Tyler. It was like lines, 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 and then he has like lines of cocaine on the table. More lines. The irony of it all, squiggly line theory, all that kind of stuff. It's fun. I mean, if you're not into TA, then it's understandable. But I would actually argue that if you did just do very, very simple concepts like things like reload zones, you had no business buying up here. And you just, if you believed in Kathy and you liked her story, you just say, okay, fine, I will buy your asset when it comes down into a buying window. And then what's cool about this is the market is telling you exactly where it wants to go. Bang, right there. I mean, it's telling you in glorious Technicolor. This is what's called a harmonic. A, B, C, D. So, wow, gee whiz, look where we are. What a surprise. So, I mean, poor Kathy, right? They're fucking calling for her head right now. When really all this is just TA 101. There's nothing shocking going on here. And actually, I think I told you, I really like this company. This is a fun company, Nano Dimensions. This is one of the companies she likes. You tell me, is that at or below reload zones? Can Brian actually start nanny nibbling? Anyone? I hope you say yes, because I did buy. I love 78.6s, so I threw in a bid there, and I've also have another bid at 88.6. Hopefully you can see, gee whiz, it looks like this thing actually put in a W off of that level. So it coming back down into this area, the irony of it all is that, of course, people that did get sucked into this nonsense, how do you think they're feeling right now? Do you think they're happy go lucky? All right. Is there now, actually, here's a good point. You know, would I call this a quote unquote trade setup where I'm going to use leverage and I'm going to load up and maybe I'm even going to, even, I don't know, buy on margin or something? Maybe buy, if there's a futures contract. Have I said anything about like a trade setup here? No. What I said was, hey, we got location. I'm more than happy to start going and nibbling against the bottom ends of ranges. I love doing that, but that's just me. And I'm not betting the farm. If you did want to trade an asset like this, I like the cadence. And actually, I think Julian, he likes to use these multiple day ones. I mean, just look at that chart, folks. God damn, son of a bitch. I want to go and buy some more. Look at that. That's crazy. Did they just reorg the stock right there? So, in essence, all of these people just died a million deaths on this date right here. And even right now, you are able to basically go in and buy this asset at the same price that all of these people got. Am I allowed to swear? Can I swear? Can I give you a nice, really juicy image? Juicy. Oh, that's an interesting word. I mean, I gotta say, as an investor, that's looking pretty damn attractive. But is it a trade? Yeah, maybe not. Right. So, how does the cadence go if this was a trade? Who can tell me what's number one? And it's not China, that's for fucking sure. Those cocksucking sons of bitches. What is reason number one? Interesting. Could be. And like I said, I'm not loading up here, but I am nibbling. I love the idea of nibbling on this thing. What's reason number one? Level oneers, they're probably doing their class right now, so they're not even here. But God, there's got to be some of you that have actually taken the education program. Thank you. All right, so number one, location. Location, location. Have you ever heard somebody in real estate say, what are the 3 words in real estate? Oh, they're done? Okay, cool. That's reason number one. So you tell me, folks. I mean, remember, Brian's a cheap ass. So I hate overspending. I hate spending money on anything. You should see my underwear. I mean, well, you probably shouldn't. You'd probably be grossed out, but I think my wife bought me this pair of underwear that I'm wearing. That's how I don't want to spend money on anything. That's just a joke. Actually, I've got clean underwear on. Please, nobody get any horrible mental images of Brian. I'm just trying to make you smile. All right. So, what do we say reason number 2 it might be? Lids, location, indicator confirmation, divergence structure, go. Hey, wow, fucking Andre. Andre, you bought the punch. Or drank the punch? Bought the Kool-Aid. Drank the Kool-Aid? Bought the birthday cake. Something like that. How about the rest of you? How about just copy what? Interesting. ATR is looking perky. How about something like an indicator? Some indicator that says, I'm stronger than what price is telling you. What do we call that? When the indicator says, I'm stronger than what price is telling you. Oh, very good. Word I'm looking for is divergence. I mean, if you can find good, and you know, just so you understand it, and I'll be perfectly clear, I am a red-blooded North American straight sexual male. So, what's coming next? Everybody knows. Thank you, Chris. What would ideally I like to see here? And anytime I go to a stripper club, I tell the ladies, look at, unless you've got this, I'm not interested. And no, the answer isn't herpes. Oh, poor guy. Yeah. Oh yeah, Willie's a great one. Yeah, I love that. Anyway, double D's are definitely my bread and butter. And you know what? I saw something that was so cool the other day. Um, yeah, this is we teach so many different ways to trade on the market. And keep in mind, there's a million different ways to skin a cat. But Josh the other day was he put out a tweet that just made me laugh so hard. This is a conversation about volume profile. Whenever you have a volume profile that looks like that, where it's the torpedo bra, man, that's just the best. It's just the best. So I don't know whether those would be double D's or not. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure how the bra system works. Anyway, so if I can get divergence, and if I can get double divergence or triple divergence, even better. The volume profile double D, that's a different reference. That's slightly different. So let's have some fun. You tell me, are we in respectable trade location here? Do we have that component? I'm gonna blow my schnoz because somebody told me you guys don't like to hear me blowing my schnoz on YouTube. So I'm gonna put myself on mute. I'll be right back. All right, how we doing, gang? You guys enjoying the edutainment today? Yeah, we got about 70 or 80 people here. That's not so bad. It is weird. It says playbacks 479. How the hell does that work? Still don't know. Hey, there's 81 of you there. Can you all please go and hit the damn like button now, please? Pretty please with sugar on it. Let's get some of these damn like things ramped up here. And I, frankly speaking, I love it how YouTube has basically gotten rid of the dislike button. So, or maybe they haven't. I don't know, but that used to piss me off when there would be like one or two trolls that'll hit the dislike button just to piss me off. All right, thank you. Nice to see the likes. All right, so we said number two. We want to see some sort of sign of divergence. Do we have good trade location? I think so. So, do we get any signs of divergence? Boom. Not yet, eh? How do we describe this? Divergence is this idea that you are seeing higher highs and higher lows in your indicators, and this bullish divergence, that is. But you're seeing lower highs and lower lows in price. So you can see this is really, I like to use the MACD histogram to illustrate divergence. I'm a little bit of a weirdo. This is the way I like to measure divergence. This measures momentum using moving averages and the relationship of moving averages. So we don't have higher highs and higher lows. What we do here have, which looks very clear to me, is it looks like we have a coil building here. So all hell is about to break loose. Can you see how price is coiling? It's getting tighter and tighter. In fact, you could even say that it started out steep, but then we kind of flattened. But here you'll notice that, hey, this is getting really tight in here. So quite literally, I can see something's building to an apex here. Something's about to happen. But there is no confirm bullish momentum divergence in price yet. What we need to see is we need to see this get up through here, right, which makes a big W. And if price actually itself made a low, and then this price over here, we made a lower low, and then we turned up, and this went blasting up through here and confirmed then Merry Christmas. There's your divergence. All right, we're going to make that green, and we make this red. That's how I usually measure it. Something as simple as that. So, do we have that in price yet? The answer is no, we don't. So what that means is, from sort of a trader's perspective, do we have 3 reasons to take the trade yet? Anyone? You tell me. You're all aspiring traders. You're here to teach me how to do this, right? Isn't that how this goes? Something like that. We seem to have said that, well, it looks like we've got location, so that's kind of cool. Reason number 2, we'd love to see some sort of signs of divergence. And of course, man, we love those double Ds. So I think we can go check, but we don't even have any signs of divergence yet. So how many reasons are we supposed to have to justify taking a trade? Anybody know? Hit the like button, subscribe, ring Colleen's bell. Ding, 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 ding. See if YouTubers can answer this. How many reasons are we supposed to have to justify taking a trade at any point in the marketplace? Ideally technical. 3. Thank you, Jimmy. Way to go. So, can we even talk about number 3 yet? Let's say here, if number 2 has not come in, can we even consider number 3? And keep in mind, guys, I hope I'm not sounding like I'm talking down to you. One of the biggest problems that I have is I fancy myself a know-it-all. So as a result, what ends up happening is I lecture people. Well, I'm really trying to help you here. Please understand this. I'm trying to help. So you tell me. If we don't even have signs of bullish momentum divergence, do we have any reason to be justifying hunting a trade setup here? I'm trying to help you make money from trading. Oh man, YouTube must be pretty. Like, subscribe, bell button. Thank you, DMAC. You're fucking awesome, man. And I really need to really hit that harder, right? I mean, we really should, because we're really trying to make them. Now I don't have to worry about the stupid fucking shill of this space, right? Because when you're in the stupid dog money phase, you have to be really careful about the shill. But now that the market's broken, I can go, all right, are you serious about wanting to be real traders? Let's quit fucking around and let's get to work. Right? No, Edward, I don't like that thinking. I really think, do your fundamentals. The way that I want you to think about this is you are going to build your fundamental criteria of what a good investment looks like. That is completely outside of this quote unquote trade setup. So you do your fundamental due diligence. I'm actually surprised that we have been working this long in the cryptoverse and people still have not come up with fundamental valuation models and given them names for crypto. That really surprises me. Who can give me a name for a stock fundamental valuation model that I teach in the program that everybody needs to learn by the time you finish the level 1 education program, so you know how to go and screen fundamental stock ideas? I teach you 4 of them. All of them perfectly valid. They all represent different types of investors. Somebody give me one. There's one. There's another. How about you slackers over on YouTube? Tell the story. Repetition makes it stick. Do the 3 every video. Yeah. Well, traveling, how about you just come on the site and take the damn course? Then you don't have to worry about the. Keep in mind, the YouTube videos are supposed to be a teaser for you to come in and take the damn course. All right, thank you. Everybody's giving me fundamental models. So good. So go and screen your universe for those stocks, Edward. And if you want to create screens in crypto, I would strongly suggest you do so. Then that keeps you out of buying the bullshit garbage pumps, the Yobit names. We used to say them last cycle. And, that's half of the reason why some of these people are Bitcoin maximalists, is because they don't believe that any of these shitcoins have any value. Yeah, I'll leave that up for you to decide. But point here is you build your universe. And Edward, I want you to acknowledge this, please. You build your universe of acceptable ideas using your fundamental analysis. Then you apply your trade setup, 3-step process, blah, 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 location, indicator confirmation, price structure if you want to trade the asset. Does that make sense, Edward? So, with regard to this as a trade setup, I think you're stopped at number 2. You're done. We're not even at number 3 yet. But is that the only way to play this game? And this is so important for you people to get. Does everybody have to be a trader in this world? This is, I'm a trader. Look at me. Grr, don't get in my way. I'm a trader. I'm a trader. What happens if you kind of just like a story and you're kind of like, oh God, hey, the wife and I, we just had a kid. I'm not getting any sleep at all. I'm not even thinking straight. But man, I keep hearing everybody talking about Kathy Woods and these nano dimensions and these damn robots are going to take over the world. And I just want to get some. I want to have some on the books. Do we teach a strategy around that kind of approach to investing? And that's not timing the market. That's assuming that you actually aren't very good at technical analysis and trading setups and have to get blown out and obeying stop losses. And Rodney says, yep, nanny nibbles. I think Grimm for our level 1 class, he calls it planting flowers is his little old lady risk management approach, or nanny nibbles. The point being, when I mention this, I mean, all of you, and this is just my perspective. What I do find fascinating is that it's such a great analogy that this is the only business when stuff goes on sale, what happens? Let's see if you guys can finish this line. This used to be a really famous line by a gentleman by the name of Louis Rukeyser. He used to always say it, like literally every single show. When stuff goes on sale, no one wants it. Nobody wants to buy. Good answer, Carlo. This is exactly that, folks. So like poor old Kathy, right? And the funny thing for Kathy, and have you guys ever heard me? Let's see, Andre. Let's see. You're so smart. Let's see if you can finish this line. How does the expression goes? Those whom the gods wish to destroy first do what? Those whom the gods wish to destroy first do what? Oh, nice, Rodney. Make mad. I'm not sure what that means. But Rodney here got it. Rodney must obviously be part of a TRI crew. He must have heard that before. So, in a weird sort of way, does it make sense that Kathy's sort of put in a no-win situation? I mean, we all know. I mean, this is the sad part about for her. And I've talked to you guys repeatedly about this before. We all know that every individual fund manager has their own style. And you have to stick to your style. And if you don't, then you're breaking the mantra of your fund. But by definition, no one style can stay in favor in the market indefinitely. And I think I've told you. Let's see if you guys know this guy. Man, I'm just throwing all the trivia questions out there. One guy that I used to work with in New York, he used to run a fund of funds. So in one breath, he would be pitching Kathy against another mutual fund manager and say, okay, who's doing better? That's who I want to be invested in. So he would literally move his funds from one mutual fund to another mutual fund, just chasing whose ever style was the hottest. And they call them funds of funds. And that was, let's say, and because it's his formal name, we don't have to worry about swearing. But who can tell me his last name? Bob, I am a whatto. I'm gonna make that name famous if it kills me. I love that. And we used to, because the guy was such an asshole, man. I swear, he's the biggest, cockiest. Oh, I hate arrogant people in the market. So he was so arrogant because he made a lot of money trading. And we used to affectionately call him Bob. I am thiso. I don't even know if you guys even know. Cool, you're here. Wow, cool, you're almost always here. No. That would be swearing. No, I'm just kidding. We used to call him Bob. I am a dicko because he had a very Italian last name. Yeah, thank you, Chevy. Anyway, so the point being that poor old Kathy, right? Ironically enough, I look at this price chart and I don't really see anything out of the ordinary. And does it not make sense that Kathy's in the shithouse right now? It's probably actually a good time to go and buy her. Buying when they're, or how does it go? Let's see if you guys can figure this out. What are investors doing through this part? And that as a result, what should we be doing? How does the expression go? Some of you guys in the lounge here. In fact, I want you to, I'm going to go get a banana because I'm hungry. So I want you to finish this. What is the public doing here? So by definition, we must do something else. Finish that for me while I get my banana. When there's something, you should be something. All right, everybody come up with the answer? Buying when they're crying, selling when they're, nope. Oh, yeah, you're so close. Selling, yelling, buying, crying. All right, Andrew got it. Yellin', selling. Blueberry got it. Selling, yelling. Edward got it. No, selling when they're crying. No, DMAC, back to school you go. Sell when they are yelling. So, do you understand that that is the definition of the public yelling? Oh, Kathy, you're so awesome. We love you. Ah. Want to see another example of yelling? And it just pisses me fucking off to no end. Where is... where the hell is he? Well, that's right. I thought he was right there. Maybe I deleted it out of spite. No, there he is. Where is this motherfucker? You want another? And I still have this on here. I mean, where is he? Why is nobody holding this cocksucking son of a bitch to account here? This isn't fair. Why does this keep happening over and over again? And why do people think the fucker walks on water? He just fucked all of you. What the fucking fuck? So how are we supposed to get angry at the banksters when they do what they do when we can't even hold this son of a bitch to account? You know, if anything, one thing I'll say about the boys at Ubic, they never shilled their coin. And that's one thing I have to respect about Alex and the crew. They never shilled it, and so as a result, the coin did abso-fucking-lutely nothing. So you got to respect Alex for that fact. I mean, they never came out and did the big fucking shill. That it just seems that so many of this place, they just get wrapped up in this goddamn shill shit, right? Just this. Where is this cocksucker now? Why is he not coming out and saying, you know, anybody that bought into this Doge, I'm directly responsible for you getting all really excited about this. You remember there was some goddamn black guy from like Ethiopia, and he had like a YouTube channel going, and he would sit there, you know, doing the whole fucking Doge shill, and every third word he would inject, ah, la 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 la. So it'd be like, oh, you were all gonna make money, la 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 la. Oh yeah, this is a beautiful la 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 la. Oh yeah, that's an excellent comment, la 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 la. I mean, it was just like, what the fucking fuck is going on here? Right? It was just shocking. So how can we get angry at the banks for doing what they do to us when we can't even get angry at this cocksucker? Something's really wrong with this whole game. Or you realize that he is just as much of a shill as anybody else. And then when you see this kind of price action, clearly there's something going on that's actually not very friendly to the public. And maybe we better not get sucked into this shit. So, because keep in mind, he's just as bad as any bankster. He's just as bad. He played all of these people like a cocksucking son of a bitch. So, very, very bad karma. He might be super wealthy and he blames his bad behavior on his autism, which frankly speaking, I don't think is even a title that he has the privilege to use. I know what autism is like. In fact, I will go and live in the autism world in about an hour, and it's nothing at all the world that he lives in. And really, if I was a prosecutor, I would be going out and aggressively looking for people who got taken advantage of this, and I would be trying to figure out a way that I could indict him and see if I could get something to stick to stop this from happening. Because this is what actually ends up breaking all of your hearts and stealing your money. So sad. But anyway, So, point of the matter here is there's the public yelling just like dog money. Actually, they're calling for her ouster now. And I would actually argue that she's probably getting back down into sort of value areas. You want a dollar cost average? Fine. My rule is, and really we should probably look at whatever the low is. What's scary here is that really we should probably be drawing the bottom off of there. And actually that would line up better. Notice Mountain Man and the 6-1 golden ratio line up really nicely. So maybe it's somewhere in that area there. Also, we have this Wyckoff check. There's also another Wyckoff check level down here. So, as we're getting down into green boxes, can I buy at or below reload zones? The answer is that's what I do. Thank you, DMAC. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you want to look at what a real case of autism is like, go to my Facebook page, and I post on all of Liam's. Liam really loves to throw rocks in the ocean, and anytime we get the opportunity to. Lately, he's not been wanting to go down to the water. Every time I give him the choice, he always wants to go driving out in the country. So we haven't done too many rocks in the waters videos lately. But you can really get to know what Liam's like and his life by seeing those videos. Anyway, so the point here is, ironically enough, they're calling for Kathy's ouster, and I would actually make the argument that actually she's now actually approaching buyable levels. Is this ready for a trade? Well, interestingly enough, reload zones, Mountain Man, golden ratio, all that. A, B, C, D, let's go through our 3-step process here. So number 1, we said, is location. So do we have location yet? Rodney says yes. All right, so we'll give that a check. We're at least not walking into the trap. That's where you usually get fucked in this game, when you walk into this. So we're not walking into that anymore. Now, how about, what would we say reason number 2 was? Do we have indicator confirmation here? And of course, we said ideally we'd love to see divergence. Do we have any signs of divergence yet? Answer is, you tell me. And actually, this is where I turn it around on you. Do we have signs of divergence yet? Also, too, maybe you don't even know this yet. Do you understand the difference between potential divergence and confirmed divergence? Again, nice and short and sweet, because we don't want to waste a lot of time here. We have no signs of confirmed divergence here yet. We have a potential divergence. You can see it there, but it's not confirmed yet. Market is oversold, but no divergence. Market is oversold. Look at Willie. Holy moly. But no divergence. I don't really use Willie for divergence purposes. As I said earlier, I like to follow the MACD for divergence, and then I'll use Willie just to tell me whether the market's overbought or oversold. And notice, when Willie is stupidly overbought, your job as an investor is, I cannot touch this thing here. And sure enough, that would have been a really bad idea, going in and risking your hard-earned money up there. So we have potential. So can we give a second check mark to Kathy yet? Nope. We have 1. We don't have 2. Does that mean, can we even think about W's yet? And price structure and wanting to buy? No. So, end of conversation. Could you, as a little old lady, Brian, I'm really busy in my other life, but I don't want to go in and buy, I like buying these ideas, and Kathy, I really like her, but I don't want to chase. Can I go in and nanny nibble through here? Well, as long as we're at or below reload zones, I'm okay with that. And it's just as simple as that. Do you see how this process doesn't really change? And you can filter out a lot of ideas really quickly just going through this 3-step process. Does that make sense? I'm trying to help you people, please. Okay, Rodney. All right, let's go back to fucking dog money. Let's do the same thing here. Do we have location? Are we coming in and buying fucking Alan Schill right now? I don't know. You tell me. If I was interested in this, let's go through the same thing here. Number 1, do we have location? Number 2, we have divergence. And number 3, price structure. Nothing changes here, folks. It's the same damn thing over and over and over. So let's do a quiz. Can we give number 1 a check, or does it get an X? That doesn't mean jack shit. I mean, if you're a little old lady, okay, fine. We are at location. We can go check. So that means little old lady kind of strategies. I'm perfectly fine with that. Is there a trade here? Leverage trade, margin trade, maybe even risk more than 5% of your portfolio on the trade, but you better fucking cut losses at 5% loss. Is there any of that? I mean, let's go see. Do we have confirmed divergence yet? I don't mean to be rude, folks, but this just looks, actually, this is a 6-hour chart. So let's maybe come up to a daily chart. Let's see what we got. So there's your daily chart. Down below 78.6s. Looks fine there. You can see we made a panic low here. So anything here, if it's a higher low, then there's no divergence. It looks like there was a bit of a divergence. Actually, you can even see it. This is another one of these wedges. You can see something's coiling. And it wouldn't surprise me if, like I said, I think there's a high probability that we have like a seasonal rally here in crypto over the next few weeks. But what do you think, guys? Can you see the coil coming? Something's coming down the pike here. Interestingly enough, with something like this, though, usually what ends up happening is it goes violently one way and then swings back the other. Kind of like this. You see how there's like a coil here? And it goes, woohoo! And then it goes, ah! So you can see something's building. Alan's getting ready to do something to all of these people. It's kind of tragic. And then also too, I think the middle of the end of February isn't like they're the big Super Bowl party. So are they getting ready for some sort of big fucking crypto altcoin shill NFT kind of pump thing into that Super Bowl? It wouldn't surprise me. But back to our conversation here. Do we have a confirmed bullish divergence to work with here? I don't think so. If we saw that, and like I said there a moment ago, right, this low here, usually what they say is wicks and tails like to be eaten. So sure enough, all they did was they just brought the market right down, ate that huge tail, and then put in a bottom. So this, I beg your pardon. Okay, so notice that this low here, way over here, is lower than that low. See how it's, you can see it's just slightly lower, right? That's a lower low. So the indicator, in this case, I'm using the MACD histogram, it did not paint a lower low. So that means we can get a confirmed divergence if this market can get up through this orange line here. So as I see it right now, if we're doing our 3-step setup, we've got location, check. Confirmed divergence, nope. Can we move on to step 3 of our screening process yet? I don't think so. So, right now I would say there just isn't a big hurry to do anything on this, but if you are the nanny nibble type and you're like, Brian, I haven't got time to really pay a lot of attention here. I like Alan. Why, I don't know, but hey, that's you. And I would like to start accumulating this thing, and I just want to put myself on a dollar cost averaging plan and just accumulate. I don't have a problem. And my hunch is at some point down the road, it might be 3 to 5 years. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but at some point down the road, this high will be tested. And there's probably some pretty good money to be made on that. But hopefully that, now I've given you 3 different examples of this. Are you guys getting this? Was this worth spending the time doing this today? I'm basically giving you the secret to trading. Yeah, that great Del Moody dude. He should go in his little notebook. He should go, oh, by the way, today Brian just gave you the secret of how to make money at this. Actually, you want to see what's really cool? You want to, fuck, the great part about TRI, maybe we're probably going to be assassinated because we're giving away all the secrets. But Josh here today, he put this out, and this is so cool. Putting these, you want to make this, actually, how do you say this? Disregard everything that the entire system has taught you since fucking kindergarten. It's meaningless. It's pointless. Doesn't matter. It's just so sad, eh? University education, meaningless. The only thing that matters in this world is, can you type on a keyboard and can you speak a language and spell correctly? So those kind of skills I think are probably important. Hell, you don't even need to write. I had to hand write out an application the other day, and I was like, oh my God, my calligraphy is terrible. Anyway, Josh put this out here today. Frankly speaking, this is all you need. But I don't think he got the the order correctly. Or maybe he did. Did he change this? I don't think so. And I actually replied to him, and this is great because Josh is so articulate with these tweets. He just nails it. But my response was, you're close, but I just think you have the order slightly out of order. Where I think that it goes first, and fuck people, this is the goal. This is the shit. When you want to learn how to do this, just do this. You don't even have to take our damn courses. There's a sales pitch for you, eh? You don't even have to buy our product. What? Shut that fucking guy up. Keep in mind, if you are a self-motivated type person, A-type, very powerful, on the ball, great. Do what the great Del Moody, is that what's his name is? Great Del Moody? I think that was his name. Do what he does and teach yourself. That's half the reason why I'm doing this shit. If you need help, and that's like most of us, and when I was your guys' age, I needed a lot of help. I wish there was somebody like me in my life when I was your age. I'd be fucking on Venus right now. But it is what it is. If you need help, then I've never seen a program like what we do. I've never seen it anywhere in the 30 years that I've worked in the business. And as I've said to you before, I actually think that if the 1% had their druthers and they actually even knew about us, thank heavens, I think we just fly under the radar screen. Nobody really pays attention to us. They would actually prefer us not be around and not doing what we do. But hey, let's get away with this as long as we can. So what I suggested, though, is maybe we reorder this. So my recommendation to you is, first, number one, go and watch Mr. Dalio's How Economies Work. Like, he's got it at number 4 here. I actually think you have to watch this first, because this will actually tell you how the economy works. And it doesn't work the way that you think it works. And this is where most people fail when it comes to investing and trying to like get ahead in this world and capital gain. They just don't understand how the game is played. You got to know how the game is played. So that's first. Then, once you understand how the game is played, and it's just a brutal reality, you don't have any choice in this. Don't fight this, because if you fight it, you're just wasting your time. But it does make a lot of sense why something like a Bitcoin is so awesome. Then, once you've understood, and watch this maybe 2 or 3 times, right? Once you understand how the economy works, then I think you go and, where'd it go? Oh, it's weird. Where's my response? Oh, yeah, here we go. Then you go and watch the Money Masters video, which, Josh has as number 1. But I don't think that actually is in your best interest, because that's just information overload right to begin with, and you just get sent down this insane rabbit hole that just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And after an hour or two, your brain's just like, oh my God, I can't handle this. So I like the idea. First off, you got to understand how the economy works and how it functions. Then, understanding that the banksters have been running this whole fucking show since JC's days. And what a great analogy of how evil the banking industry is. The only negative reference this guy has made in his whole life. And, he was murdered by fucking Romans. And I don't even think he even really bitched at the Romans too much. But the only time he was really sort of publicly angry and publicly violent, this is Jesus we're talking about, was in reference to the banksters. How ironic, eh? So, my point here is the 1%, the Rothschilds, all them, they know how the game works. I hate to say it, Ray Dalio's, he's part of the damn game. He's part of the 1%. He is, if anything, he's doing you a favor, sort of letting you in on the goods. Most of the 1%, his buddies probably are like, what are you doing? Shut the fuck up. Kind of like me, but nobody's come at me yet and gone, well, maybe they have, because well, we won't go there. Anyway, so if you want to see how the 1% takes advantage of the way the game works and why they're so wealthy, then watch the Money Masters video, right? Number 1 here. Okay, so now you know the backdrop. That's sort of, okay, this is the playing field. What did I tell you guys was the number 1 reason why most people lose at this game? What's the number 1 reason? I showed you it at least 2 or 3 times here. Remember when we were talking about Kathy? What's the number 1 reason why people lose money at this game? Okay, yeah, so good word. So Chris says emotions. People act emotional, yeah. We talked a little bit about, remember, ATR? Something about that ATR? What was that about the ATR? Oh, yeah, fuck, I got to shut the hell up here, eh? Okay, enough of this. We got to get to those questions. Maybe somebody asked me to chasing price. That's exactly what I wanted. What I wanted is don't chase, right? Number 3 here, right? Don't bloody well chase. You got to learn not to chase. So I said number 2 should be number 3, where you're just going to teach yourself not to chase. Don't buy those big green dildos. You have to wait for down markets, because that's what the 1% does. That's how the economy works. You want you to be making money like the 1%. Then finally, how do you actually time your purchases? And this is adorable. This is a reference to a Sesame Street club, and actually, it's one of the icons that I have that I show in the Daily Brief. The picture behind me, the National Association of W Lovers, which is so adorable, but it's so fucking true. It's ridiculous. And then the only thing I would add to this is all about rule number 1 that Brian teaches you. Rule number 2 is actually, because I have 2 rules of investing, rule number 2 is actually more important than rule number 1. And rule number 2 is this guy. And it's all about how do you handle risk and how do you manage running your small business of trading. So that was I thought this was an excellent tweet by Josh, just perfect, spot on. He's talking about everything about Brian's first rule of investing. Don't chase cocksuckers. There you go. There's a statement. Boom. Number 2 was missing, and I said here I would add 5 if you'd permit me, and that's all about risk management. I tell you, these 5 videos, and this number 4, of course, is all just sort of adorable, but fucking learn it, people. W's. We don't have a note in here about indicator confirmation, but I don't know whether I've ever actually seen anybody in the public actually do the work on divergence that I do. I don't have a really clear demonstration. Actually, the best place to show you is in our how to spot profitable timing signals. And this was given out to me. This was given to me back in the 1980s when I used to get my price charts in the mail. And these guys, they do such a great job of teaching technical analysis. You can see, I mean, there's the price charts, eh? You can see what they look like when I used to get them in the mail. They're just tissue paper. But here, these guys do a really, really good job of identifying divergence and how to use it. So anybody on the site who wants a really good walkthrough of how you do the whole process, right? You can see divergence, beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. Haven't found a video online to really speak to that divergence. That's third party, right? Okay, so enough of that talking. We got to get on to the questions here. So let's see how we did. I think we had 1 question left over from last week, and then, oh boy, look at all this. Oh my goodness. 10 questions. So we got about a half hour or so till I have to start getting ready for Liam. So let's see if we can get to this. Okay, so number 17 says, if you are a current millennial single, with no kids found and learned from TRI with a few years of trading under your belt, what would you do with your career? Actually, I think I've did, that we had our level 2 instructor. I mentioned to this, my sort of life aspiration. But it's a pretty bizarre one. So I don't know whether this is even relevant for you. Is this sort of like generic, if you had the skill set, what would you do? Just ironically enough, do stuff that makes you happy. I'm in a position right now where, I don't really need the money. And, I feel as though I've satisfied this request by Spirit to come out and try and make a positive difference in this world and all that. I'm thinking about just going and getting my children's tennis instructor license back and just going and playing tennis with kids. Just having fun. Kids don't give me half the headaches you adults give me. I'll tell you that much by crackers. So, but I also too, I actually had a plan originally, and then of course Liam came along with his special needs, and Joanne did her thing, and fucking all hell broke loose. But my original plan was to actually build an anti-gravitational machine, which I think the technology is out there. It's sitting there. It's not really like it's not doable. I think it's actually perfectly doable. You just got to build it. Somebody's got to come along and just do it. And actually our level 2 instructor, Kiran, he was pretty jazzed about that. And he was like, all right, I'll help you do that, Brian. Yeah, we can do that. But then we had a bit of a falling apart. last fall, so I don't think that that's doable anymore. But anyway, it is what it is. Point being that you asked my question, my answer would be if I didn't have to worry about money, which I don't. If I didn't have to worry about kids, which I do, and I have to be, concentrating on how Liam's being handled and how I deal with Liam. Number one, I certainly would not be living in Canada. Canada, in my opinion, is a short. Canada is a short. Canada is a sell. Canada is a scam. Do not come to Canada. This place is a trap. There you go. That's an endorsement for my country, eh? And what I would do is I would go and try and find a warehouse somewhere in the middle of nowhere that nobody could bug me. And I would just go about building my anti-grav machine, get it to the point where it's patentable and everything's all locked up. So guys like fucking Morgan can't come along and steal your technology. Because Joey Diamond and those guys, that they would steal it from you in a heartbeat. And try and affect positive change in the world around that. Because I believe once you actually fix the gravitational limitations of our species, then everything changes. Everything. Nothing stays the same. So, and, maybe we can conquer that in the next few hundred years. If we really put our nose to the grindstone, we could have it conquered now. But unfortunately, I do believe that the powers that be are really, really thwarting this. Really thwarting it. And frankly speaking, I think that the powers that be already have anti-grav machines. And they, about a year or two ago, we conjectured that the next scandal is going to be something that can get all of humans to buy into whatever the 1% world leaders want us to buy into. And so we're conjecturing that actually there will be a staged alien invasion of our planet, that actually the invasion is actually going to be done by our leaders. But it's going to be made to look like they're aliens. And so we all wrap our arms around whoever the current leader is. Oh my God, save us, blah, blah, blah. So, all right, there's my answer to that question. Number one here today, 35 years ago at the start of the last greed cycle, greed assets like equity were cheap, low PE. This time around, PE is still at historic highs. In your opinion, how will the difference impact this nascent greed cycle? Which asset class would you prefer trading in this new greed cycle? Clearly, greed cycle. Assets that do the best are proxies on earnings streams. The irony of it all is at the very end of the growth cycle, companies will have no earning streams, but the perception of their potential future earning streams will launch these companies to the roof. Kind of like what you saw with Cathie Wood's. At the end of this growth cycle, Cathie Wood's mutual fund will be at all-time highs. It's a really, really good analogy. So, that micro strategies guy, his fund was at all-time highs the last growth cycle peak. Also, too, what you want to think here are what are financial asset proxies. So you all love them. Actually, I don't think you do. But what is a very typical financial asset proxy that is a great representation of the stock market? Financial asset proxy. Bank stocks. So bank stocks do horribly through fear cycles. They do wonderfully through greed cycles. So my hunch is that bank stocks, by the time we get to the end of this cycle, will be all the rage. And as I said, Cathie Wood's kind of, ARK Investments, the disruptive technologies. anything that's talking about super growth. Obviously, I've talked at length. Companies that can leverage blockchain technology to drive profit margins, huge potential, limitless earnings growth. So, to answer your question, there's three sectors. Disruptive technology, classic ideas, Cathie Woods, her mutual fund, all of the kind of names, nanobots, all that shit. Financial services companies, and ironically enough, the financial services companies are going to use blockchain to drive further profit margins. I mean, you thought customer service is bad now. Okay, hey, it ain't getting any better, I'll tell you that much. And then finally, especially for people that are crypto oriented, who are the companies that are going to leverage blockchain? I mean, there's a bunch of them. We had one company that's an OTC stock I'd love to buy. I don't have a brokerage account that can have access to the OTC market right now, though. I'm a bit lazy. Yes, I know. I got to open up that damn fucking Interactive Brokers account. I haven't done it. I've been talking about it for like 2 years now. But really cool one. I remember that funware. Holy Jesus, that stock went crazy. My funny little IMIN. That was like a 10x just out of nothing. I mean, they're not even doing anything. So, and then Mara, that was 100x trade for us. 100x. So there's plenty of companies that are going to do very, very well with blockchain technology. So hopefully that helps answer your question. Number 2, I took a look at the crypto portfolio section in the platform, and I see that the pairs traded are all BTC based. Could you please talk about the TRI portfolio and how is it managed? It's not really managed much at all. The portfolio back in 2014, we took one student's level 1 membership dues. It was like $500. And we went and bought 1.25 Bitcoin with that $500 at $460, something like that. And that's the portfolio. So I don't even know. Let's see what the portfolio is at now. We've taken out 150, 250. So we've taken out 250,000. 100,000, and then 50,000, and then there's another 100,000 over on I think it's Kraken or something like that. So there's our original balance, $550. Geez, I didn't think it was maybe it was 550. I thought it was 500. Anyway, and there's where it's sitting right now, $263,518. That's already taking out. What did I say? About 250 G's? We just took another 50 G's out there a few months ago, sent it back to the bank just to make sure we have money to pay taxes. So I don't know. You tell me. When did we start this? We started this in 2014. So just even passively, that's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So that's 8 years. Can anybody give me what I don't even know how you do that. What is the compounded rate of return? Let's assume that this was the whole portfolio and nothing else. What would be the rate of return? $550 into $250,000. I think that'd be an okay rate of return, wouldn't it? And I haven't even really done anything with this portfolio. The last time I really did something serious was I bought a Wacka Luna back there about 6 months ago. And I think I was pretty active on the site explaining that trade. I've done a bunch of little nibbles, but ironically enough, a lot of the nibbles, they've just broken down and I've just bailed and gotten right out, like that Akash or whatever the hell it was. Chess, right? I've bought a few of these names, but they've broken down. I just exited. So I think I told you guys, every time I ever do a trade, whether it be my own personal account, whether it be TRI corporate accounts, whether it be that crypto account, I post every single trade I do in Trading Signals Brian's Big Bot, right? And that should be Brian's Big Butt, but what the hell. So every single trade I do, I try religiously to post, whether it's buy or whether it's a sell. Just every single trade I do, I try to post in here. So if you're a site member, you can just pop on here and you can see every single thing I do in the market. I'm about as open book as it possibly gets. Could we clean this reporting up and get sort of this kind of some value to you on a daily basis? Sure. I suppose it could. I'm not really in a big hurry to do anything. And we as TRI management, we're sort of humming and hawing about what the hell we're going to do with these assets anyway, because this is in a Canadian company. And we have both a Canadian company and a US company, and we're thinking about just winding up this Canadian company. So you might just find one day we say, well, you know what? We just liquidated the whole damn thing and wound the Canadian company up. And maybe it'd probably be better is just to start with like a $10,000 stake. We'll just throw like 10,000 USDT into there. And I don't know, just take trades and report them as they go. But I think the important thing that you all need to understand here, this number goes up and down and up and down and up and down. But these are technically the coins that I sold halves on doubles. Sold halves on triples. So halves on quadruples, whatever. So what is my actual risk on even this $263,000? Out of my pocket, what's the risk? The answer is zero. There is no risk. It's not even my money. It's your money. I took this money from all of you. I mean, that's the brutal reality of it. I'm sorry, but it's true. So, and then Andrew, add in the other 250 that we've already taken out. So that's not bad, eh? Remember what we said, if you can beat 30% annualized compounded rate of returns, you beat 95% of investors ever. So I think I've done pretty well here. And the funny thing is I've almost done nothing with this portfolio since 2017, 2018, really. Just been treading water, doing nothing. So anyway, the risk is zero. What's the tax implication of just sitting here watching this go zooming around here? And let's say I just didn't do any trades. How much tax is erode? And this is important for you to understand, because I think a lot of people in crypto just don't get this. I don't want to pay taxes. I don't need the money. It's your guys' money. It's the market's money. I don't need the money. I've already got a salary that pays my annual bills. I don't need this money. What's the tax bill for me just sitting there doing absolutely nothing? Nothing. If I do go and sell this, oh my God, that's the top. You better sell. What's the tax bill then? It could be as much as 50% of whatever the fucking sales are. Do I really want to pay that tax bill? No. So it's actually in my best interest not to fucking touch this. And just, you never know. Life-changing events. Maybe Sedona Euphoria pops up and all of a sudden this thing goes 10x and now it's 2.5 million. And I didn't do anything. I just left it alone. That's how you get rich in this world, folks. But a lot of the young guys that come into this space, they want to trade. They want to just be in and out, in and out. And you're only worth what your balance last said. And I disagree with that thinking entirely. My suggestion to you is try and establish that risk-free trade as fast as possible and then just leave the free shit alone and just let it make you rich. That's my suggestion to all of you. Anyway, so I hope that speaks to that question. I don't know whether it does or not. Number 3, hey Brian, can you talk about the 7 tigers of Asia? What exactly happened, how it started, and what has been changed after? Thanks. All right, so 7 tigers of Asia was a reference to about 7 different countries that were all growing very rapidly following the end of the Cold War. And if you think about it, it made a lot of sense. Late 1980s. Hold on a second. I'm getting my bouncy ball because I don't like sitting in my chair for hours on end. Bouncy ball. There we go. So at the end of the Cold War, money started to pour into what they call quote unquote emerging markets. And I still find it hilarious that Powell, even to today, still calls China an emerging market. That should speak very loudly to you, folks. China isn't nearly as strong an economic player as you actually think it is. But that's here nor there. 7 tigers were things like South Korea, Indonesia, Japan, Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, I think, was in there too. And quote unquote emerging markets. And this was back when the Americans hadn't gone through their quote unquote downsizing yet, or what they called right sizing. So there wasn't a lot of growth out of North America, like George Bush days. He actually raised taxes, which of course pissed off a lot of his constituents, and one of the reasons why he didn't get reelected. So people were looking for growth, and in those kind of environments, they looked for emerging markets. So Europe was in disarray. Africa is Africa. South America is South America. So that didn't really leave much alternatives. And Asia got a lot of money pouring into it as sort of money was fleeing out of Eastern Europe as that was sort of collapsing unto itself. And, capitalists, keep in mind the baby boomers were working away through their life cycle, saving money. They want to grow. So the trend just started to be the capital just kept flowing into these Southeast Asian countries. And it was called the trend, they were called the 7 tigers of Asia. Then, of course, like all bull markets, exactly the same as what's happened here in Canada right now. The bull market may have started because of good fundamentals, but it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on to the point where the fundamentals are just ridiculous. They're horrible. And they're just not justifiable. And I would make the argument that's exactly what Canada is right now. The fundamentals here are not justifiable. This is not sustainable, what's going on here. And it should have stopped at the 2017-2018 pivot. But it's gone on 4 years longer than it should have. And so as a result, it's absolute fucking insanity out there now. 25% annual increase in house price? Like, what the fuck? Come on. Is that not the definition of price going parabolic? Anyway, and the worst part about it, of course, is on the way up, the public's like, well, fuck, we're getting rich, man. Look at us. Look at our net worth. Woo-hoo. So you don't hear the public saying boo. But when the whole fucking thing tips over, then you're going to be like, oh, we need bailouts. Give us free money. Oh, fuck off. I mean, this is like the ants and the grasshopper. We're like perpetually stuck in a world of fucking grasshoppers here. So, there's your sort of explanation of who the seven tigers were. And what ended up happening was the bull market just went too far. Interest rates turned, which is what almost always drives these things. As soon as the interest rate market turned, cost of money started going up, the whole damn bubble popped. You could also argue too there was an added problem here, and if you understand China, China loves to do this. Especially with their central planning and their fucking idiot economics. They set sort of dates. This must happen here. That must happen there. And they go build like 20 apartment complex buildings because they have to reach a certain economic objective by this date. And nobody says boo about the underlying economics. If it weren't for the fact that the Americans were just blindly handing them bucket loads of money, this whole damn thing would have collapsed years ago. I still think it's going to collapse. The irony of it all is that China should be running massive surpluses, but they're running deficits, and they even have debt that's worse than ours over here. What the fuck? I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. Oh, boy. Anyway, so in 1998, Hong Kong was officially passed over. I think it was 98. Might have been earlier than that. Maybe 96. But Hong Kong was passed back. 97. Oh, that's close. Hong Kong was passed back from the British back to the Chinese. And the reason why, part of the reason why this seven tigers sort of trend was able to go as long as it was because the Chinese were keeping the market propped up into that event. They wanted it to go smoothly. Central planners, right? We're not going to call any credit. We're not going to bust anybody for illegal practices. We want this thing to go through smoothly. Then literally the day after the fucking event, all hell started to break loose. Chinese pulled all of their public funding for projects in Hong Kong. And you could literally start to see the dominoes start to fall one by one as these seven tigers, the whole fluff of the story started to unwind. And frankly speaking, I think that's exactly what's going to happen here with Canada and these commodity countries. You already see it happening in Australia. Australia is a fucking train wreck right now. And I wouldn't be surprised, like Russia, I think Russia's setting itself up for disaster here. I mean, the last thing in the world Russia needs is a big fat fucking war right now. Not only, I mean, I was sharing it in the lounge. The Americans, they are experts at murdering people. The Russians, they're literally probably going to see maybe 100,000 of their finest citizens of the next generation just instantly murdered. Is that really in Russia's best interest, Mr. Putin? Come on. And then secondly, the problem I fear is that you're seeing all this price inflation in commodities, but this is the end of the cycle, not the beginning of the cycle. And what's really scary is if you actually look at these commodity prices in real dollar terms, they're not really moving. Yeah, in the Fugazi money printer terms, they're going crazy. But if you take the money printer out, prices are actually just sitting there doing nothing. Just so funny. So, what was the end of the Asian tiger story? Well, it was actually all of these countries it got so bad their currency started to collapse. I remember in South Korea, for example, the citizens were running out into the streets and throwing their silverware into the streets, and the silverware was being collected to somehow back the currency because the currencies were just in absolute free fall. And the key there is to watch for current account budgets, or current account surplus, current account deficit. If you start to see any of the countries, especially a country like Canada, if you start to see the current account start to go negative, then it means that there's a run on the currency. And look out. And frankly speaking, I don't even know how you can value the Canadian currency. It doesn't make any sense. If you listen to Justin, there classic fundamental analysis is irrelevant. Oh, fuck. Oh yeah, that's gonna set us up well. Yeah, well, Turkey's a good example. It'd be interesting, Jordan. Go look at the current account of Turkey and see if the money's coming in or money's going out and what the trend is. The issue with Turkey was, for the longest time, Turkey was an excellent sort of check to the Soviets. So, and kind of like Greece, like we always made a joke, you never, ever, ever buy Greek paper. Why? Because it's worthless. And the governments can't balance budgets. So what ends up happening is about every 5-10 years, the Greeks go and devalue their currency, like 1/10. And anybody who's owning the Greek paper, you're toast. If you are in Greece and you have any wealth, you always buy land. And then that way the government can't devalue the land. The land just sits there. I'm a piece of land. I don't know. It's interesting to watch how Greece has gone with the EU situation. I might argue that to a certain degree, you might see the same kind of thing with Canada, where, maybe next 10, 15 years, we get absolute insane sort of IMF outside sort of insistence on reducing government expenditures, increasing taxes dramatically, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Okay, number 4. Can you talk about AMC situation? Is this something we as rational investors be looking at? Yeah, you shouldn't even look at AMC at all. That's a piece of shit stock. I have very little knowledge of it, but I heard about synthetic shares. Oh, even wonderful. Now people are going to buy stock, but actually you have no voting right. Keep in mind, the whole point of buying stock is that theoretically at the company annual general meeting, you have the ability to stand up and go, I don't like you. I vote you out. I want a different director in there to actually make me who actually wants to make money. And you want a really good example of this, go and rent the movie Wall Street from the 1980s and Gordon Gekko. He's a great example, activist shareholder. And you hear about like Carl Icahn shaking companies up. I mean, that's the whole point of being a stock owner. So if you're saying that, oh yeah, you can go and buy synthetic shares, which really aren't shares, but maybe they just replicate the price action. Well, what's the point? Like, why bother? I never understood that stuff. I do like the idea, if you want to play the market on the cheap, you can create synthetic long and short positions through like option spread strategies. But that's not level 1 stuff. That's level 3 stuff. So wait till level 3 and we can start talking about spreads. But a company like AMC, you got no business looking at it. Next week, you level 1ers, we'll be doing fundamental analysis. And I mean, here's a kick in the pants. AMC. Oh, they don't even show it now. That's how bad it is. If I understand correctly, these guys have a world of debt. 500 million shares out, way too much. They're losing money. Why the fuck would I want to invest in this company if they're losing money and they have that many shares out? If I'm not mistaken, they have a pretty high debt load. But trading at 4 times cash, a little bit expensive. Trading at like 4 or 5 times sales, nah. I mean, you can see book value per share is actually negative. There's no reason to own this company. This company is a piece of shit. So this is not a company I'd be even the slightest bit interested in. If I'm not mistaken, I think that NNDM has pretty good numbers. Where's that? Don't want to show you my account. What is the symbol? NNDM. Just out of curiosity, it's just, let's see. I mean, maybe it's no better. Fundamentally, 239. That's not really that great. Yeah, this is pretty expensive. I mean, this isn't bad. I mean, this is a really good example where you can see they're just not selling anything. They're not making any money right now. Interesting to see whether they make any money down the road. But I do like this. They're trading at basically 50 cents on the dollar, right? Book value is $5.74. And I love this. $5.79 of cash on the books. The stock's trading at $3.37. And there's no debt. So that technically means I could go in and just buy up all the stock in the marketplace at 337. I could just take the company public or private, and then I'll just raid the treasury and take that $5.79 and put it in my pocket. It cost me $3.37 to buy the company, and I just take the cash out of the cash register, and it's $5.79. Have I made any money? You tell me. Anyone? I'm going to buy the stock at $3.37. Boom. I just went and bought the whole fucking company outright. I bought all 239 million shares. Done. I just walk into the company's cash register, open up the cash register, and there's $5.79 sitting in the cash register. That's about the easiest way I've ever seen to make money in my life. Totally. So our rule, Francis, is if you ever see a company trading below cash on the books, this is a no-brainer. It's trading 58 cents on the fucking dollar. Which is hilarious. It could be. Andre saying this could be creative accounting. It would be interesting to do some digging into this. I mean, ultimately, the big question here is, are they going to stop bleeding money? And are they actually going to start making some money? And I don't know what the answer to that is. My hunch is as soon as you actually start hearing them about landing contracts and actually doing something that's actually making money, then you probably see this thing just takes off like a rocket. But I don't know. Is there a letter of the alphabet that maybe could possibly be forming there that maybe we should keep an eye on? Wow, look at that. Down, up, down. And didn't we say earlier that, gee whiz, this stock has fallen an awful long way. This stock used to be $18 a share. Who can tell me? Let's see if you guys can figure out how I trade the market. What's my price objective here? Just give me a ballpark. Hint, hint, hint. It's double digits. Yeah, that's right, Tommy. Tommy. So hopefully it's not the best example of a fundamental, but AMC, I'd stay the hell away from that kind of shit. It's not worth it. Okay, I'm going to leave these two questions for maybe tomorrow or Tuesday. Oh, no, there's more. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe we'll dig into these tomorrow. I do have to start getting ready for Lily. So I hope you guys enjoyed the edutainment. Answered a few questions. Hopefully taught you a thing or two. And you felt like you got some good value from your time spent with me. So on that note, I think I'm going to bid you all a fond adieu. Please, everybody, take a moment, close your eyes, send Liam some positive karmic waves. I tell you, I started the video off today with, holy shit, this stuff works, man. So give me some positive karmic vibes. And of course, I don't know whether you're aware, but I do run a fund for Liam that's private. I've never touched his wallet and I won't. But I did set this up for him a few years ago. And if you do feel like trying to help Liam out, it's not for me. I'll never touch it. You have I swear on that. I can show you the wallet address. But I've created this donation page for Liam. And it's what the purpose of this is. If the state fails and all hell breaks loose, I got to be able to step up and replicate his care. And so that's what I've been keeping this. I don't touch it. Frankly, I don't even look at it. But people have been making donations to it. If you want to help Liam out directly, then that's how I suggest you do it. And it's not for me. Like I said, I don't touch this thing, and I can show you that I don't touch it. Anyway, in fact, you can even look at the address. You should be able to look at these addresses and see the activity, just to prove that I'm not a jerk and I'm not a dick and I'm not trying to fuck you over. So anyway, if you want to help Liam out directly, there's always that there for you. So just keep that in mind too. Okay, guys. All right, I think we'll leave it at that. Like I said, hopefully you got some good edutainment out of all of that. And if you could send some positive karmic waves our way so we can have an awesome afternoon, I'd appreciate it. PMA for the win. Let's all, slow and steady wins the race. Don't take no wooden nickels. Try and remember what your number one job as a trader is. All right, everybody. We'll leave it at that. All the best.